today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the DC Collectibles Batman Arkham Knight number 12 Red Hood. Red Hood is a new release. Spot found this at his local comic book store, and it looks like he comes with a rifle. That's about it. That's all he comes with. It is from the new Batman Arkham Knight series of figures. The side of the back, or the side of the packaging, shows you the wireframe construction of Red Hood. And the back of the package, Series 3 consists of Azrael, Professor Pig, and Man-Bat. And then, of course, Red Hood, which we will be looking at in this review. All 4 figures are sculpted by the folks over at Gentle Giant Studios. Then the underside of the box, you can go to www.dccomics.com, and equally so, you can head over to www.comicsshoplocator.com if you'd like to find a comic book store in your area. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, we're going to get a better look at the brand new Arkham Knight number 12 Red Hood. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. For your accessories, the Red Hood comes with a rifle. I don't know if you can even make it out, but there's a tiny little emblem on the end of the barrel, or near the end of the barrel. It's got a nice paint to it, kind of a silver paint. Some black on the end of the handles, I guess the stock, the end of the gun there, and then brown in the handles as well. It does fit into his hand. Go ahead and put it just very easily, actually. It's one of the more easier instances where I've been able to get an accessory into a figure hand. I didn't have to actually struggle or anything at it. So that's good. But for the sake of this review, we'll just put the gun right down there. And let's have a look at Red Hood, which I love this figure. Just absolutely love him. I try my best where I can to pick up these figures as they regularly come out. Some figures a little bit better than others, but generally when Red Hood figures come out, I usually scoop them up right away. The more and more I see Red Hood, the more I just love the character. The design of him is certainly more military, as with the video games. They give a more modern or more realistic take on how the characters will look if it was in like a real world environment. And Red Hood here, no exception to that. Comprised majority of his body is made up of this kind of reddish digital camo print. And areas such as his arms and legs are heavily armored with shin guards or gauntlets on the sides of his hands. Or on the sides of his forearms, I should say. A consistent trend, or most of the time a consistent trend with Red Hood, is the symbol that's featured on his chest there. And it's this metallic, and that's one of the things I love the most about this figure, this metallic red that they've given the figure. It's a very orangey red. It's not a very dark red, but it's the same red that's in his emblem that also carries over to his head as well. If you want to call it his head, it's his helmet. I don't know, ever since I was a kid, I always loved faces or helmets where you couldn't see anyone's face. A good example for me is Cobra Commander, the old domed Cobra Commander. I will not entertain the idea that maybe Red Hood is entertained or designed from the inspiration of a Cobra Commander, but I like it. I've always really liked the look of a face that you can't quite see what's going on in there because you're looking at very neutral head, helmet, mask, anything like that. The back of the figure there as well. I really like these gauntlets. Nothing on the figure is removable. He does have some binoculars on his leg that aren't removable, as well as pockets. Looks like there is a gas grenade. A couple of pockets on the sides there as well. Of course, his shin guards there too. It's a good example. Red Hood here is a good example of a realistic looking take on a character, but the character is still interesting. Some of the other characters, when they start trying to give them a modern spin, like something they could realistically wear, in the day-to-day world, I don't know, sometimes the figures end up looking, or the characters look a little boring. Red Hood, though, is a good combination of modern meeting still comic. It looks like something you would see in the comics. It also looks like something you could potentially see in the real world as well. When it comes to his posability, Red Hood's head is on a ball joint. It's a little stiff, I have to admit. It's a little on the stiff side, but it does move up and down, left and right. He has a very generous upper torso ball joint, which seems to work more as a swivel joint than an actual up and down crunch. But he does have that crunch still in the mid-torso, allowing for an extra range of motion there as well. Not to say that you would have the figure ever posed like this, but it's nice to know that they do incorporate that for any sort of posable possibilities that you might have in mind. Shoulders hinge out. And it's to note as well, when the shoulders hinge out, these little areas that are on top of the armor plate here is rubber, so it stays out of the way, which I like. It's just there as detail, but it's not there as restriction. And that's a good mark of an action figure or collector figure here. The shoulder does swivel on that same ball hinge, so there's motion and movement there. As for the lower arm does have a bend, which also allows that forearm to rotate all the way around if you so wish. That's a rotation and hinge in the hand. Then as for the legs do have very, very easy to move legs that move out forward and back. It looks like there's a ball joint. See it right there? There's the ball joint that's attaching to the thigh. He has a mid-thigh cut swivel. He has a double hinge knee. And finally, he has a hinge and, might I also add, a really nice ankle pivot to the foot as well. At the time that Spot is shooting this video, Red Hood is the only figure that my local comic book store has picked up. I'd like to get my hands on Professor Pig. A Man-Bat doesn't look too bad. Yeah, really some good figures for Wave 3 of the new Batman Arkham Knight. Today's toy spot, we were having a look at the DC Collectibles Batman Arkham Knight. I believe this was, what, figure 13? Figure 12, actually. Figure 12. We're looking today at Red Hood. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more toy spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching, as you always do. See you next time.